I introduce to you West-based Executive Director, Ms. Vivian Arroyo. Sorry, Ms. Vivian Salvidea Arroyo.
Thank you. Salamat. Hello. Kumusta kayo? Okay ba tayo? Oy, salamat sa pagpunta nyo dito, ha? Okay. So anyway, kaya po tayo nandito kasi gusto natin pag-usapan yung issue ng immigration. Mahalaga yan sa komunidad natin, hindi ba? So, itong issue na to, kailangan nating paikutin sa buong Bay Area dahil napakaraming Pilipino na kailangan ng tulong sa issue ng immigration. Bukod doon, i-update namin kayo tungkol sa mga issue ng Nabalitaan nyo na ba yung executive action? Hindi pa. Okay. So, yun, i-update ho namin kayo. Ngayon, bago ang lahat, gusto ko kayong i-welcome dito sa West Bay. Kilala nyo na siguro yung West Bay, hindi ko na siguro kailangang sabihin ko anong West Bay, no? So, kasi mga tiga dito na kayo, and I'm very proud to have you here. My other question is, before we start, our panelists have requested, ano bang mga klaseng, Max Ligot, ano bang mga klaseng tanong ang inyong gustong sagutin ngayong sa inyong mga immigration question? Meron ba ditong mga tanong tungkol sa executive action? Ha? Tungkol saan po? Mga personal na problema. So matapos po ang usapan dito, ang talakayan, papatayin na ho ang camera at maaari na kayong magdulog ng tanong kung gusto ninyo sa kanila. So you're very lucky sapagkat ang mga guests natin ngayong gabi ay mga kapitag-pitagan, mga sikat, hindi ba? So papakilala ko na ho sila. Unang-una, ang ating mga panelists no, ngayong gabi. Sino sa inyo nanonood ng The Filipino Channel at saka ng TFC at saka ng GMA? Okay, so kilala nyo na ho sila, right? Unang-una, gusto kong pakilala, ang legal counsel din po siya ng West Bay Filipino Multi-Service Center. Siya po si Attorney Rodel Rodis. Okay? Si Attorney Rodis ay naging presidente ng Board of Trustees ng San Francisco Community College District noong 2005. At it was his third time at the helm, having previously served as president in 1998 and 2002. So, since his initial appointment to the board in 1991, Mr. Rodis has been elected to the board by San Francisco voters in 92, 96, 2000, and 2004. Ibig sabihin, popular po siya. Very popular. So, and by the way, everybody has seen knows Attorney Rodis also bilang isang madalas na guest sa TV sa mga tanong-tanong usapan tungkol sa immigration din at kung ano-anong issue sa Filipino community. And isa din siyang founder at Northern California Chair of the National Federation of Filipino-American Associations. Siya rin ang General Counsel ng Filipino-American Political Association and past president ng Filipino Bar Association of Northern California. Napakahaba ho ng bio niya. Hindi mauubos ang oras natin. Siya ay sumusulat din sa dyaryo, sa Philippine Daily Inquirer at sa Daily... Doon lang ba, Rodel? No? Philippine News. Okay. Marami. Okay. Ang susunod po nating guest ay isang partner po at kaibigang matalik ng West Bay. Siya po ang current president ng Filipino Bar Association of Northern California at partner sa Uy Law Group, si Mr. Robert Uy. Robert Uy has been selected to the 2014 Northern California Super Lawyers Rising Stars list. Wow! Robert has significant experience in immigration, family law, domestic violence, and human trafficking law. He has also experience in employment-based visa applications, perm applications, H-1B, VAWA, U-Visa, T-Visa, lahat na. Immigrant visa petitions, consular processing, adjustment of status, and so many. Pero meron din siyang mga experience sa divorce. Meron bang baka may magtatanong tungkol sa dissolution proceedings, restraining orders, at mga prenup. He was previously an associate at the full-service immigration law firm in San Francisco. Dati ho siyang staff attorney at the immigration project sa API Legal Outreach. Kilala po natin ang API Legal Outreach. Ano? So, pinasasalamatan po natin na tayo ay i-join tonight ni Mr. Robert Uy. At, okay, isa pang sikat sa Filipino community. Kilala niyo po ba yon? Oh, di ba? Napapanood kayo, nanonood kayo sa TFC at sa Channel 7. TV Balitang Amerika, right? At sa Pusong Pinoy ng Channel 7. So, let's welcome, I'm very proud to have also with us Attorney Lou Tansinco. So, si Attorney Lou naman ang principal sa Tansinco Law Offices, isang full-service law firm that provides expertise in the field of immigration matters. She was admitted to the California State Bar in 1993, recent lang. Tapos, kasama siya din, katulad ng iba na kasama natin dito sa American Immigration Lawyers Association. And kabahagi din siya ng Filipino Bar Association of Northern California. Siya rin pala ang chair at founding member ng isa pang organisasyon na kilalang-kilala natin, ang San Francisco Veterans Equity Center. Kilala niyo yan? Yes! So kilalang-kilala ninyo yung organisasyon na yon. Si Attorney Lou ang founder at board chairman doon. So isa po siyang ka-eskwela ko sa University of the Philippines. Outstanding alumna po si Attorney Lou sa UP. Okay? Alright. And you already know, you can watch her on Balitang Amerika and on Channel 7's Pusong Pinoy sa Amerika. And last but not the least, isa pa ho itong sikat sa Philippine Consulate. Si Deputy Consul General Jaimon Ascalon. Kilala niyo siya? Di ba minsan nag-volunteer dito sa West Bay yan? Bakit? Ay, misis niya, nandyan. Nagtatrabaho dito. Si Consul Ascalon ay naging consul sa Philippine Consulate General in San Francisco noong 2011 and was designated Deputy Consul General noong September 2012. So, before San Francisco, Consul Ascalon was detailed to the Office of the President of the Philippines. Which Philippine president was that? Where he served as Deputy Chief of Presidential Protocol from 2010 to 2011. Sino yon? Arroyo. Okay. So, si DCG Ascalon ay naging Special Assistant sa Office of the Undersecretary for Policy at ang kanyang first foreign assignment was in Brunei Darussalam. At prior to joining the Department of Foreign Affairs, isa siyang Foreign Research Specialist sa Center for International Relations and Strategic Studies of the Foreign Service Institute of the Philippines. Mabigat po. At bakit? Sapagkat siya ay isang graduate din ng University of the Philippines. So, palakpakan po natin si Deputy, malapit nang maging Congen yan, si Deputy Congen. Okay, so, umpisahan po natin ang talakayan natin tonight with mga tanong tungkol sa latest sa immigration. So alam ko ang tatanungin ninyo mamaya ay mga personal na issue ninyo, no? Pero bago ho natin na pasukin yung mga personal na issue ninyo sa immigration, alamin ho muna natin ang latest na balita tungkol sa immigration, di po ba? So, nabalitaan niyo na ho ba yung executive action? Okay. So, Attorney Rodiz, ano ba yung executive action na to na nababalitaan namin na sinabi ni President Obama? Would you explain that to us?
Okay. Yung tinatawag na executive action. Kasi dito sa Amerika, may mga batas. Kung ang mga batas, yun ang pumapasa sa Kongreso and pinipirmahan ng presidente. Yung mga batas na makakapagbigay ng green card sa mga nag-a-apply, ang Kongreso lang ang pwedeng magpasa ng batas na ganon. Ang presidente hindi pwedeng gumawa ng isang executive action or order na makakapagbigay ng green card kahit kanino. No? Nasa Kongreso lang yung poder na ganon. Ang magagawa lang ng presidente, kahit sinong presidente, is yung tinatawag na executive action or executive order na ang magagawa is mabibigyan ng policy sa executive branch tungkol sa anong policy na magagawa sa kanilang bagay. No? For example, no? Ang Department of Homeland Security, ang namamahala sa immigration cases, no? Meron silang mga patakaran tungkol sa sinong madideport, no? May mga okay. Yeah. There are people, the Department of Homeland Security is responsible for developing policies and implementing laws regarding those to be deported.
So how would it benefit a Filipino
I'm
person?
getting to that. I'm just setting the foundation before we get into that. No? Okay. Because it's a very general question. What is executive?
yeah,
So
okay,
it's not
okay.
specific. You know.
Okay, how does it now benefit this
No, I
executive
just-
action on
okay.
immigration?
Okay, so the president has issued many executive actions in the past, many of which were not challenged or questioned. For example, may DACA. Yung DACA is Deferred Action on Childhood Arrivals. Ibig sabihin nun, yung mga dumating dito nung bata, miski illegal or tinatawag na walang papeles, pero dito nag-aral and below 31 at nandito for mga 5 years, pwedeng mag-apply para mabigyan sila ng papeles na makakapagtrabaho dito. Yung iba pa nga, makakapag-uwi kung may emergency.
Makakauwi sa Pilipinas.
Makakauwi sa Mexico, sa kahit saan,
Okay.
Pilipinas, and then makakabalik.
So I have a
Yung
question.
DACA
Okay.
na hindi na-challenge. And then, ang ginawa ni President Obama is in November, in-expand niya yung DACA para pati yung mga parents ng mga may bata na nandito na pinanganak dito pero ang papeles nila walang dokumento, makakapagkuha rin sila ng ganung klaseng papeles na parang maliligal pero hindi makakakuha ng green card pero makakakuha ng employment authorization at makakapagtrabaho at kung minsan makakapag-uwi rin at makakabalik.
So I'm gonna ask Robert now. So Robert, thank you so much for that. So Robert,
Tawag na
DACA and DAPA. So what we're saying here in summary is that what Rodel said is that ang executive action or the executive action on immigration na pinirmahan ni Pangulong Obama ay para sa mga Philippine nationals o kaya ibang lahi na hindi lumaki dito, no, hindi tiga rito, na walang dokumento.
Yes, the
Okay.
executive action that was signed by Obama really addresses the needs primarily the needs of people who are undocumented right now. Now, there are additional provisions in it that will assist people who are in H4 status.
Ano yung H4?
H4 is people who are married to people who have entered the United States on H-1B visas, who have specialty occupations. So those people, once that provision comes into play, those people will be able to work. In the past, if you entered in on H-1B, and if your spouse entered on H-1B and you had an H-4, then you could not work in the United States. And people would be here for years and years not
Right.
able to work. Now with DACA right now, the expansion, which will be great, one of the greatest things about it will be that there is the age restriction is lifted. Previously, there was an age restriction where in a certain date in 2012 you had to be 31 or under.
Right.
If you're over 31, then you're out of luck. So for example, I had a client who was 32 on that date. As a result, he was ineligible. But today, once this comes into play, he's going to be eligible. And then with respect to DAPA, the great thing about it is, it's really for parents of Americans and legal permanent residents. So if you've been undocumented for a while here in the United States, and you meet the requirements of having been here for a certain point in time, and you were physically present, I believe on November 7th, 2014, then you have the ability to file for deferred action, which would give you work authorization, and potentially...
So, pwede silang magtrabaho.
Yeah, they can work, And the other thing is some people with DAPA and DACA, they've also applied for travel permits before, for advanced parole, so then they can actually travel. Now, I think it's a bad idea for people to travel if they're on DACA or DAPA, but theoretically, you can apply for it,
Okay.
and people have applied for it and have been able to travel and come back.
Okay. So before we move to Attorney Lou, so Mga kaibigan, nagkakaintindihan po tayo na may mga bagong pagkakataon para sa mga Pilipino at ibang nationals who have no papers, na walang dokumento, na magkaroon ng, ano bang tawag dyan? Legal?
It's not legal
Anong
status.
tawag?
Just temporary relief.
Okay, so temporary relief. So, pansamantala lang. So, ano pong, Attorney Lou, paki-explain, anong benefit nitong, so okay, so let's say I have no papers, I'm undocumented, and I apply for DACA, and he said I can work, and what else? What are the other benefits?
Yeah.
Kunwari ako ay siguro meron kayong mga kakilala na walang papeles, right? So, pakisabi ho sa kanila ito, ha? Importanteng impormasyon to. So, bakit nila kailangang mag-apply? Okay, Attorney Lou.
Okay, just to summarize para lang mabigyan ko ng context ang aking sagot. Ang DACA at saka DAPA po ay bunga ho ng sinasabi nilang executive action. Why is there executive action? Dahil ho for many years, more than 2 decades, hindi na ho binago ang immigration law. Kung mapapansin nyo, pati ang pagpepetisyon, napakatagal. That's
Right.
what they call a broken immigration system. So since 2009, there's a proposal for a comprehensive immigration reform. But I want to dispel a myth here that it is not just amnesty. It is an improvement of the immigration system, which includes petitioning your relatives. Pag ho nag-grant ito, there's going to be more visas. And more visas mean faster petitions for your relatives. There's even a proposal that there's going to be temporary visas for green card petitions for spouses and their minor children. But the biggest bulk of it is, of course, for the undocumented. Dahil hindi po pumapasa ang immigration reform sa Kongreso, anong ginawa ni Obama? Presidente Obama came up with his own tinatawag na executive action. This is within his power as President of the United States. I can do this, but he can only tweak the policies of the immigration. He cannot go beyond that. So, ano ang tundakang ito? Yung mga kabataan na ina-explain nga ni Robert at saka ni Rodel, na walang documents, pumunta sila dito below 16, walang kaalam-alam, dito nakapag-aral, are now being given what you call employment authorization card.
Pwede magtrabaho.
Bakit kailangan nila employment authorization card? Bata pa naman sila. They are not necessarily to work. They can apply in schools, right? They can apply for driver's license if they are in different states other than California. Can they travel? Only if there is an emergency, according to Rodel here. Pero ngayon, dahil nga ho, hindi pumapasa yung comprehensive immigration reform, eto ho si Presidente Obama, nag-declare siya noong November 20, ako na lang, executive action na lang. What happened after that? 26 states, led by the state of Texas, filed an injunction sa Federal District Court. At si Judge Andrew Hannon said, stop the implementation of DAPA and everything that is written on your executive action. Bali ho, kung i-explain ko sa inyo, parang sinara o inalisan ng power ang presidente na huwag mong huwag mong ipalabas yan. Huwag kang magbigay ng employment card. Ang kanilang argument is, wala ka namang power to do that. That's unconstitutional, ang sabi ng mga 26 states, which are led, of course, by the Republicans.
So, okay, by the Republicans. So, Lou, I'm gonna ask a follow-up question, but a real quick answer, please. So, since gusto nilang pigilan ang pagpapatupad ng executive action ng DACA at ng DAPA, kung ako ay isang walang papeles, ano ang gagawin ko ngayon? Titigil na ba ako? Anong gagawin ko?
Kung ang isang kababayan natin ay umaasa sa isang employment card ng DACA or DAPA, at dahil nga merong injunction ang court, na hindi ka makapag-apply.
So, hindi pwede mag-apply at the moment?
Pati ang Immigration Service will not accept an application.
Not at the moment. So,
except for the DACA, the old DACA
okay.
of 2012. Of course, yun, hindi affected yun. Ang in-stop lang yung executive action ng November 20, 2014 na kasama yung expanded DACA.
Okay, so we'll go more into that. Now I'm gonna move on to Deputy Conjan Ascalon. So you told me, ang sabi niyo sa akin na may pagkakataon that you have about 200 people, am I right, who have had na walang papeles na biglang nagpunta sa Consulate General of San Francisco para mag-apply ng driver's license. Is that correct?
Yes. Pero yung in-applyan nila, kasi may bagong batas din na in-implement nung January. Pero sa California lang ito. This is called the AB 60. No? Ang parang DACA lang ito, pero it's just for the driver's license. So yung mga walang papeles or out of status, they will be allowed to apply for a driver's license. So ang experience namin, may mga requirements kasi ang DMV na they have to submit yung birth certificate nila or and Philippine passport or copy ng Philippine passport. So yung iba sa kanila pumunta sa amin kasi kailangan ng additional authentication ng birth certificate nila and Philippine passport. Pero we found out later, dahil minute namin sa licensing division ng DMV, na hindi naman kailangan para pumunta sa consulate. Pero yung point lang ni Miss Vivian is that may mga 200 na hindi sila natakot. Kasi, syempre, maraming benepisyo, di ba? May driver's license ka. Yung iba makakapahod na. Mas madali na sila mag-commute, no? So, ito, isang benefit din ito ng DACA at ng DAP. Expanded na DACA and DAPA, magkakaroon din sila. They will have a driver's license as well. They will be eligible to apply for a driver's license. However, eligible lang. You have to pass the driver's the test.
Okay.
Pero at least there is now a chance. No?
So Deputy Conjan, ang sinasabi ninyo na sila, kung meron silang mga kapamilya na walang dokumento ng nangangailangan ng driver's license for identification, you can now apply for that. And they are to go to the DMV. Now, which brings me to my next question. This is what worries me. No? If I had no papers, immigration papers, I would be a little scared. Right? Tama po ba? Okay. I would be a little scared to do all these things na sinasabi nyo because I would be scared that I might be arrested and deported by authorities even as I try to seek all this immigration relief. Now, Attorney Rodel, would you kindly tell us and address that particular issue?
Before addressing that issue, meron lang akong bagay na ipapaliwanag. No? Kasi ginagamit dito ang word undocumented. Mga Pilipino, hindi undocumented. Ang mga undocumented, walang papeles na pumasok sa US. Karaniwan sa mga Pilipino, pumasok tourist and then pumasa yung, pasunay yung tourist visa. No? Ang pagkakaiba, kung pumasok ka pero illegal ka na or out of status ka na, is that kung mag-asawa ka ng US citizen, hindi ka kailangang umalis ng US para maayos yung papeles. Pero kung nag-cross ka across the border, wala kang papeles, hindi ka pwedeng mag-adjust ng status. Kakailanganin mong umalis. No? Although may bagong batas ngayon na imbis na 10 taon, pwedeng 1 linggo, 2 linggo, yung tinatawag na unlawful presence waiver. No? Pero sinasabi ko lang yun kasi ginagamit natin undocumented at the same time na out of status or walang papeles. Kailangan mapaliwanag natin that kung Pilipinong pinag-uusapan, usually out of status ang mas mabuting explain kaysa sasabihin undocumented. Kasi documented ang mga Pilipino, generally speaking.
So, kung ako ay isang out of status, o sabihin na natin, although hindi na natin gustong gamitin itong termino na ito, pero ang karaniwan na tawag dito ay illegal. Okay. So, pero hindi na po natin ginagamit yung termino na yan dahil medyo nakaka-insulto daw yon, which is true. Okay? So, kung ako po ay out of status, I wanna get a driver's license, and I wanna see if I am eligible for immigration benefits, but I'm scared because I might be arrested and I might be deported. Tama ba? Hindi ba yan ang pangkaraniwang takot? O paano ba yon? Address that.
May pumunta sa akin this week sa opisina, no? In-apply namin ng DACA mga 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, no? Sabi niya, ang tagal niyang inisip bago mag-apply, pero dahil nakumbinsi siya at nakumbinsi ko rin, nag-apply siya ng DACA. Buti na lang because nagtatrabaho siya sa isang spinal clinic doon sa Daly City na ni-raid ng federal government dahil fraud yung doktor na nag-aaso. Lahat sila na-aresto pero dahil may papeles siyang nagpakita na nag-apply siya ng DACA, hindi siya na-aresto kaya nakataka siya. Sabi niya kung hindi siya pumunta at naayos yung papel, di nakulong na siya. Kaya may mga tao rin na, okay, kung ayaw niyong mag-apply, miskin nandun. And then then yun ang mangyayari. Kung nasa trabaho mo, o may nagsumbong sa'yo dahil nainis sa'yo, galit sa'yo, meron kang gano'n. So, mabuti na kung makakapag-apply ka, mag-apply ka dahil mabuti na kung may legal kaysa hindi legal.
So you're telling me, Rodel, doon sa kwento mo, everyone else were out of status.
Yung mga ibang tao doon, walang papeles na na turnover sila sa
hinuli ng ICE.
Hinuli ng feds and then tinurn over sa ICE.
So, all right, hinuli sila, but the one person
na alam natin,
nag-apply
ng DACA.
with DACA, he was not arrested.
Kaya,
okay, so that's one reason. Sabihin nyo ninyo sa mga kamag-anak ninyo na medyo kinakabahan, mag-apply na kung po pwede because it really gives you immediate relief from the possibility of being deported. Got it? Ayos ba yun? So, okay, Robert, my next question is, okay, go ahead, please.
I think that's a good point.
Right.
It will provide an immediate relief pag may raid, pero hindi para sa lahat ang DACA.
Okay.
Because there are some applicants who have prior criminal convictions. Instead na employment card ang matanggap nyo, deportation ho. So it is a case-by-case basis ho.
Okay, that's a great point, Lou, because that's one of the fears nga. You precisely hit it. All right, so who should not apply for DACA or DAPA? Lou, yeah.
Number one, if you have a final order of removal in the past and actually returned again,
kung ikaw ay
tapos umuwi ka,
pinalis ka na, bumalik ka pa.
Tapos bumalik ka pa, those are on the priority list. Second,
hindi dapat mag-apply yan.
Hindi dapat mag-apply yan.
Ito yung mga wag mag-apply, ha? Okay.
Yung sinabi ni Lou is that if you apply for DACA and then it turns out may criminal record, then you will be placed in removal. That's not been my experience because I've had mga Mexicans who applied and then it turns out they had a criminal record.
Okay.
And what they received was a denial, but they did not get a notice that they were placed in removal.
I think it depends on the type of crime that you have.
If there is an order of removal, then that's when they're turned over. In other words, priorities ICE, yung mga may deportation order na. But if you just committed an offense, and sometimes it even depends on the nature of the offense, because there are some that are considered so minor, you're still eligible even if there is a criminal offense. So it has to be a crime, a major crime, or a major, it's not enough. There have been cases where people, when they were teenagers, they committed a juvenile offense, and it was explained na approve pa rin.
Okay,
Yeah,
so okay.
Excuse me, I just want to give to you a very recent example. And this is like last Friday in Iowa, there's this pastor from Honduras who had a DUI 17 years ago. Okay? Had a prior immigration violation, was arrested and deported. Okay? So to me, it is true that maybe some DACA applicants are relieved. They will not be deported. That's true, but there's always a risk and you have to balance it.
That's a good question. This is the call, pag-usapan natin yung, okay, may mga risk, di ba, Attorney Lou? So, ano ba ang mga iba pang mga condition na risky?
Let me explain something about this. No? Kunyari, yung pastor na yon, it turns out may DUI 17 years ago. Hindi lang basta dadamputin ng ICE and then i-deport. Hindi ganon. No? Dadamputin, magkakaroon ng hearing, magkakaroon ng opportunity na humingi ng affirmative relief. No? Kung pwede siyang mag-apply ng asylum, pwede mag-asylum. Ngayon sa San Francisco, kung mag-apply ka for asylum or kung mahuli ka, marami akong kaso na your master calendar hearing is set for 2 years from now. In other words, hindi yung magkakaroon ka kaagad ng hearing. Na-surprise ako yung mga na nag-apply lang may master calendar na postpone for 2 years.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, kung nag-apply ka for whatever relief, kung may anak ka na US citizen or immigrant, you can apply for, if you've been here at least 10 years, cancellation of removal. Cancellation of removal, there are 3 requirements: 10 years of continuous residency, good moral character during the 10 years, so that even someone who 17 years ago did a DUI, that is not within the 10 years of the cancellation of removal. And then you have to show you have a qualifying relative who's a U.S. citizen or immigrant who will suffer exceptional or extremely unusual hardship. But what I'm saying is that hindi yung dadamputin ka and then dideport ka, hindi ganun ang patakaran ng immigration.
Okay, so Robert, I'm gonna ask you, and also to DCG Ascalon and Attorney Lou. Okay, you know what, okay, because the worry in the community, now let me cite you some statistics, okay? Kaya po natin pinag-uusapan ito, alam niyo po ba, there are more than 15,000 Filipinos dito lamang sa California na eligible mag-apply dito sa tinatawag nga nilang DACA, okay? And there are more than 3,000 Filipinos in the Bay Area who are eligible for the program. Pero, halos wala akong nag-a-apply. Hindi nila alam na meron palang ganito. Kaya natin pinag-uusapan. I am hoping na yung mga kayo, nalalaman na ninyo ngayon, ipagsasabi ninyo sa komunidad, sa kapwa Pilipino ninyo. But again, I'm going back to the question, ano ba ang risks na kaakibat? What risks are inherent or that come with application for a DACA or a DAPA, Rob? Because you know what? Let's face it. You have no legal status. You're a little scared, right? Okay. So what are the risks? And let us weigh in.
Okay. So I think one of the things that people are afraid of, first and foremost, is that they're going to be, deported right away if something comes up in the records, and that doesn't happen. As Riddell was talking about earlier, there's due process in the United States. Okay, unless someone already has final order of removal, it's unlikely that a person is going to be immediately deported. Most of the time, you end up in court for a long period of time. Now, when I have people coming to me who are applying for DAPA, I always check their criminal record completely. I have them try to get an FBI clearance. I try to have them get a state clearance so that I know and from the different cities where they've lived, to try and make sure that there are no issues there. If you have been arrested, I don't think that you should apply for DACA without consulting an attorney. As long as you consult an attorney.
Very important, consult an attorney.
Okay, and someone who has experience doing these type of cases. What's weird about DACA is there are certain types of things that can raise triggers that normally do not raise triggers for other types of cases. For example, you will get denied for a DACA if you have a DUI, whereas for most other cases, it's kind of irrelevant, okay? It might go to your character a little bit, but it's not really that fatal. But in general, if you have a criminal record, that's one thing that you need to think about. The other thing people are afraid of is that their families will be affected, because when you're filling out the forms, oftentimes you have to list,
your family members,
where you've lived in the past, and family members, and other things like that. What I have to say is generally USCIS has said in the past that they wouldn't be using that information to go after people and their families. Now, the closest analog that I can see would be in the VAWA, U-Visa, and T-Visa context, where when you're filling out those forms, the I-360 forms, the I-192s, and etc., with respect to those forms, they do disclose a lot about family. And typically, because USCIS has said that they're not going to be referring them to ICE, they haven't done it. So I would think that because this is also a humanitarian type thing, that it's unlikely that that would happen.
Right.
Okay.
Right. The information sharing.
Yeah, I think the main thing for people is for them to make sure that when they're applying, number one, they find someone who's reputable to help them. There are a lot of nonprofit organizations out there, especially if you're low income. API Legal Outreach, Asian Law Caucus, La Raza Centro Legal, Centro Legal de la Raza, VEC. There are a bunch of organizations there who can help people. And I think it's very important that you go to the minimum, at least a legal clinic, to talk with someone.
Right.
Okay.
Which we will be having right after. Now, Attorney Lou, which goes back. Okay, so we've been talking about DACA. Okay, let's reiterate. How about the DAPA? We haven't really touched too much on DAPA. Can you like go a little deeper on DAPA? And what does DAPA mean again?
Deferred Action for Parents Accountability.
Okay.
This is for parents who have U.S. citizen children or green card holder children
But
and
parents-
are undocumented.
So the parents are the ones who are out of status. Okay.
Yung pang-parents naman itong DAPA. Yung DACA, pang mga bata. Ano? But for DAPA, you might ask, paano nagkaroon ng undocumented tapos may legal na anak siya, no? So there are those who come to the U.S. and they give birth here.
Right.
Or there are those who come here with their children legalize and they get their status. Or there are those who come here and their children had temporary status and then, or either joined the military and became U.S. citizen.
Right.
So then they can help their parents through DAPA.
Okay.
But as I explained, this is part of the injunction, and that's the reason why there are no applicants yet.
So right now, because there is a court injunction, ibig sabihin ho, may humarang doon sa executive action. So sa ngayon, hindi pa tumatanggap ng aplikante na yon. But even if that's the case, would that stop me from either going to the consulate or from a reputable lawyer to try and seek these reliefs?
Yeah, you have to understand that the injunction is only temporary.
Temporary
I am very
lang.
positive that it's going to be lifted
Okay.
anytime soon. It has an expedited hearing as of yesterday. But for DAPA, if you will read the USCIS.gov website, it says there that you can prepare already the documents that are necessary to file for DAPA. And what are these? Of course, yung Philippine passport and proof of your entry, proof of your residence here since January 1, 2010. And also your relationship with the U.S. citizen child or green card holder. Siyempre, mga birth certificate yan.
Okay.
So you can start
So mag-umpisa
gathering
na ng
and have your
papeles, no?
case assessed by lawyers, in preparation. But you have to keep in mind that you will not be able to file until the injunction is lifted. And hopefully it will be lifted before May.
Yeah, but there's no harm in seeing a lawyer at the moment, right?
Wala.
Okay, it's safe to go to your lawyer, a lawyer you trust, okay, na yung mga katulad ng minention ni Rob. It's safe to do that. It's safe to start collecting yung mga dokumento at papeles. So, kahit na ito ay kasalukuyang nakaharang sa korte, pwede kayong magpatuloy sa mga prosesong yon. Now, yes, please go ahead.
With regard to the lawyer, last year, mga December, si Attorney Rodis and si Attorney Lou, actually nagkaroon din kami ng parang talakayan sa consulate. Because ang concern actually nila, yung the lawyers or those who would offer services na sisingil na kaagad, they would charge you a large amount, but actually, as we know, wala pa namang implementation ng expanded DACA and ng DAPA. So be very careful and you can ask us or we could refer you
Okay, great.
to yung mga clinics na sinasabi ni Attorney Rob. In fact, they've been very helpful, yung F-Bank, yung IBP Northern California, chapter and clinic, yung Catholic Legal Immigration Network and API Outreach, Legal Outreach. Another point, yung
Yes.
sinabi ni Attorney Lou about the passport, So, last year, magkaroon kami ng mga DACA applicants na tinulungan namin. Kasi alam naman namin, yung may there are cases, they arrive in the US, they used a different name. Yeah.
Ah.
So, but we have a process for coming up with, we will assess the documents, may mga requirements, but para ayusin na. Because, once na ayusin mo na itong mag-apply ka ng DACA, dapat yung tamang identity mo na yung gagamitin, di ba? So we will make sure
That's interesting.
actually na you declare your true identity, and then there is a process para eventually makuha natin yung passport or birth certificate.
Sa tamang pangalan.
Yung tamang
Okay, hindi pala dyan, puruntong or something, whatever. Okay, so now, if I were someone, okay, I'm gonna have to wrap this up because patatanungin ko na yung audience, Pero sa ngayon, i-summary po natin. Sa ngayon, sino ang pwedeng, anong programa ang pwedeng applyan ng mga out of status right now? Old DACA. Okay. Sino ang eligible for the old DACA? Attorney Lou? Or Rob? Or
Tulad nga ng nasabi kanina ni Rob, ito yung mga dumating sa Amerika before 2007. And their ages is 31 below. And they have no significant misdemeanor, kahit na DUI lamang. And then, of course, that they have proof of their identity.
So these are the people who can start the process right now.
They are already
Okay.
processing those. In fact, they are due for extension of their employment cards already. Pero may balita dyan si Deputy Consul na kokonti lang ang nag-apply in the last few years.
Oh.
Actually, so far, ang sa old DACA, 5,570 pa lang ang accepted, approved ng USCIS. So, that's konti out of 70. Sa Mexicans, alam nyo kung ilan? 606,427.
So ang ibig ko sabihin, alam po nila na pwede nilang gawin ito. Ang problema nga sa komunidad nating mga Pilipino, marami ang hindi nakakaalam sa benepisyo na ito. Okay? So, ipaalam po. At kung may mga katanungan, maaring kayong pumunta sa consulate. Right? Because, sa totoo lang, kung kayo ay out of status, you are a Filipino national. At ang tumutulong sa Filipino national, numero 1, Philippine Consulate. So, doon kayo kay DCG Consul pumunta. Diretso ba sa inyo? Okay.
Oh, and
All
just
right.
to add, one of the things that I've noticed when I've gone to clinics and I've talked with people in the community at high schools
Right.
and other places is a lot of Filipinos, their parents actually tell them not to apply
Why?
because
They're scared.
they're scared. And they say that you shouldn't do anything that could potentially endanger the family. And I think one of the important things is for people to realize that, look, we have over 600,000 applicants in the Mexican community, and we don't hear like this wholesale thing where people are being placed in deportation because of it. The danger is very minimal. Now, of course, can DACA disappear? Can DAPA disappear? It is certainly possible in the future if we have a new administration. But if you think about it, with the numbers of people who have applied, it would be political suicide for any politician to go and just get rid of DACA or DAPA. So I think that it would be very unlikely that it would lead to some sort of like wholesale deportations.
So, Rodel, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Rob.
Yung ignorance nga na yun. No? For example, the Philippines has allowed for dual citizenship since 2003. No?
Right.
Pero marami pa rin mga Pilipino ayaw gumawa ng dual citizenship because natatakot sila na, ay nako, mawawala yung US citizenship mo. It's been 12 years. Not one single case ng Pilipino na nag-apply ng dual citizen ang nawala ng US citizenship. Pero marami pa rin ang sinasabi, ay huwag kang mag-apply dahil mawawala yung US passport. In other words, sa community, marami pa rin ignorance na imbis na magpa-educate tayo at mag-apply dahil mas madali
O
mga tao umuwi, magtanong.
Magtanong muna
Pero
kayo sa mga
yung maraming
kilala
ganyan,
ninyo.
no?
Okay?
So kaya importante yung mga ganitong
Talakayan.
na-educate kayo para masabi nyo ganito rather than may magsasabi hindi
Haka-haka
mawawala yung US citizenship mo kung mag-apply ka ng dual. Hindi totoo yun. 12 years na akong dual citizen.
Paano naman ito, Attorney Rod? Okay.
Just to give an example, yung sinasabi ni Attorney Rodel, ang estimated number of Filipinos under our jurisdiction, Northern California, pati Alaska, mga nasa 900,000. Ang dual citizen, wala pang 40,000.
Okay.
I mean, marami kaming applicant a day, pero 40,000 compared to 900,000. So, medyo malayo pa ang...
Okay, maybe you need to do things like this too, what we're doing. So, okay, I have another question. Attorney Lo, I'm going to ask you this one. So, some people will say, oh, I'm just going to wait for amnesty. Have you heard of that? Alam niyo ho yung amnesty? Should they do that?
This DACA, or probably DAPA next month, or next few months, is only going to be temporary, and you might as well take advantage of it while
Right.
it is here.
Right.
And I would like to encourage them, if they are eligible, to continue to apply. And you know why? The more DACA applicants and recipients there are, the more difficult it is going to be eliminated should there be a different
Okay,
administration.
that's right.
I think it's also one of the strategy. As what Robin said, it's going to be political suicide if they do that. It's going to be mass deportation. Walang mangyayari. So if they're eligible, I will still encourage them. But again, that's their own preference and comfort level.
Right.
Meron kasing isang tao na mas kinakabahan kaysa
Sa iba.
Sa iba. Lakasan ng loob po. And
Okay.
what is, of course, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know if it's going to be lifted. Right now, they say everything is going to be confidential. And the fear is, what if they lift that kind of policy?
Yeah.
But again, you have to think and do a cost-benefit analysis. Is this going to be really for me? And again, you have to consult with a legal professional on that.
Okay. Again, paulit-ulit ho namin sasabihin yan. Huwag kong, unang-una, okay, syempre may mga, lahat naman ng action natin sa mundo, pag-iisipan natin, is this good for me or not, no? But it's still always nice to ask someone you trust. So kami po, nandito kami, we can refer you to people. Consulate is there, si Attorney Lou, si Attorney Rodel, si Attorney Rob. Yes, Rodel.
Okay, the answer to the question, will there ever be amnesty?
Yeah.
I don't think in our lifetime there will be.
Sa
no?
tingin mo?
Because the House will not even consider comprehensive immigration reform, which is not amnesty. They will not even have a hearing. And the problem is the Republicans have a lock on the House because of the way that the congressional districts have been gerrymandered, that it will take another 10 years maybe when you can un-gerrymander that, because it's every 10 years. So 2020 is the earliest that you can change the congressional district. Because under the present situation with the House in the Republican lock, and they're so allergic to amnesty, if you even suggest that anything is amnesty, they will not even touch it. So the thought that people will wait for amnesty, they might as well be, Juan Tamad waiting for the apple to fall.
So ibig sabihin, okay, wag na muna nating ipasok sa utak natin masyado yung amnesty. Pero, well, again, I'm going back to what I say, consult a trusted professional.